I am Kima again. I'm a death doula here in Costa Rica, but I have clients all over the world, and I'm here to answer your questions. So, yesterday we talked about grief that doesn't come from a death, or grief without death. And so, um, one of the questions we ended with yesterday was, what is an example of a grief ritual? So, when you are having grief that no one in the world recognizes and that no one will acknowledge, or people want to rush you past your grief, what do you do to um, to get through that, right? And so some different grief rituals could include having an ancestral altar or journaling your feelings, going out in nature. I'm a big advocate of planting your bare feet in the soil, right? And if you believe in God, I feel like God is in nature, and my heart is always held when I'm in nature. Um, Then there is also creating art, right? A grief ritual, you might need to paint or draw or write poetry. There's so many things that you can do. Dancing. Some people just need to move their body and work grief through the body, right? Somatic movement, hugging yourself, right? Drinking tea, drinking and eating things that are nourishing and pleasing to the body. Okay, so these are all things you can do as a grief ritual. But the thing that I really want to talk about today is, what if you could plan your own memorial? What would that look like? And I'm not talking about slow singing and flower bringing. I'm like, if you really want people to celebrate your life, what does that look like? All right. And so I'll start by telling you mine. Um, I want you guys to think about two scenarios. One, your living wake, and two, your memorial after you've gone. How do you want people to celebrate you with you in your face? And how do you want people to celebrate you after you've already gone? All right, so I'm gonna tell you mine. I want a party. So before I go, I would love to have everyone come in their Sunday's best. I'm talking about your best outfit. All right. Hey, y'all coming in. And I want uh, a weed bar. Okay. Your sativas, your indicas, with edibles. And, we're going to have um, joints and all the different kinds of things. I want everybody to get as high as they want to get. Okay. And then I want music, and I want good food, and I want dancing. And you can tell me how much you love me. Um, but I really just want to spend time with the people that I love and that love me, and just, get closure. Say all the things that need to be said, and I will do the same. Now, after I'm gone, I would love for everyone to come in all white. When my husband and I got married, we asked all of our people to come in white, and they did. And we had the most beautiful pictures from our wedding on the beach. We got married here in Costa Rica. And so I feel like for my death, I would want the same thing. I want everyone in white, and I'm gonna have gifts prepared before I go, if I'm cognizant of it. And I would like so a friend of mine said he wanted a live DJ, but I'm feeling like I want a live band, like a live salsa band, right? Because I want some salsa, merengue, bachata, cumbia, kizomba, right? Soca. I want all of that. All right. And I want somebody to be teaching the people who don't know how to do it. There's got to be line dancing. All right. There's got to be a line dance section, and all of my favorite foods. Um, and then I would love for everybody to get up and make fun of me. Like, talk about the funniest thing that I did with you, to you, or that you did to me. And I hope that through the tears, there is a lot of laughter. And so I don't want slow, somber music because uh, I have become an ancestor and I want you guys to celebrate whatever it was that I did with my life while I was here on earth. So I'm interested to know if any of you have ever thought about your own death and how you would want to be celebrated, either in um, a living wake and or afterwards. So what would you want? Hey Amber, what would you guys want for your memorial? How do you want people to show up to honor you? What does that look like to you? So for me, it looks like everybody in white, looking like how they sent off T'Challa, right, in Wakanda. Everybody had on white. I want everyone in white, and you can shed tears, but there will be no boohooing and sadness. Nothing slow. I want twerking, salsa, all the things, okay? And good food. When people leave, I want them to be talking about my last party for a long time. So I'm interested to know, do you guys have questions, or do you think it like do you even think it's weird that you would plan your own death? Okay, so the sound immigrant says lots of music, food, and twerking. Yes, because we got to get that stagnation out of the sacral. Random Thoughts says, I want a live DJ and strippers. I mean dancers. I think the sound immigrant might have something to say about them strippers. Um, but that's valid. Listen, it's your death. Whatever it is that you want, you want. If you need to have some strippers, we can figure out how to make that work. What about everybody else? What would you like? What makes you feel joyful when you think about people celebrating you in your absence? I've heard so many different things. One of my friends would like for everyone to dress like he does. He always wears shorts and a graphic tee, and he wants everybody to show up in Bermuda shorts and a graphic tee, and to just have a good time, right? And so another one of my friends wants everyone in like their brightest colors, like just a really colorful um, ex- uh, uh, event, a colorful extravaganza. Um, my mentor, when she passed and she had her memorial, it was outside in a beautiful like nature preserve, and everyone brought their most colorful patterned clothing because she loved colors and patterns and brightness, and it was really, really beautiful. It made for amazing photos. But yeah, I'm interested to know what else you guys would want. And I guess it's not so important. Some people may be like, look, I'm gone, so I don't really care what people do. But what about before you go? Like your living wake. Would you have a living wake? Would you be open to having people celebrate you while you're on your deathbed? All right, Amber Wood says lots of colorful over the top outfits. And I mean sequins if you got them, a DJ and twerking. Listen, like okay, so I'm seeing like a form-fitting bodycon sequin dress with a mermaid tail and a boa. Is that kind of ridiculous? Because I can go there. And um, yeah, it can be whatever you want. And like I mentioned yesterday, it's just straight like that. All right, like I mentioned yesterday, I my party favors are going to be epic. One of them, and I don't mind putting this one out there. It's going to be a little mini Ouija board that has my thanks for the rose, Amber. A little Ouija board that has my face on it that says, "Please keep in touch." That's number one in y'all little goodie bags. Okay. Um, I don't know what else would be in my goodie bag. Probably something 420 friendly. But I want it to be a whole thing. Um, hey, Nicholas, welcome. We're talking about our living wakes and our memorials after we pass. And if we got to plan them ourselves, what we would want to have, who we would want there, how we would want it. I have asked a few of my closest friends, and only one of them, they'll talk amongst themselves, so you won't know who to look for, to just wear black and sit at the back of whatever building my memorial is, like really mysterious, and then get up and walk away right before it's over, just to create a little razzle dazzle, a little mystery. Um, but yeah, these things are important. I feel like this is another step. Nicholas Hopper says, I would like drums. What kind of drums, Mr. Hopper? If you look at this, if you can shift your mind into planning this grand soiree, then maybe you won't feel so bad about, you know, becoming an ancestor. So the sound immigrant asks, when do you know when to plan a living wake? Okay, so that one's hard. If you are relatively healthy and you're not sick, maybe you're just getting on up in age. Because I talked about this with my husband. I was like, well, look, we can have one at 75, and then if I live to be 90, have another one, you know? But typically, living wakes are easier to plan for people who have terminal illnesses and people who know they have a countdown. Like they've been given a few months, half a year, and so they know what's coming. And so it's easier to plan a living wake that way. But I feel like, so when my grandmother turned 80, we had a big party. All of the family came, and that felt like a living wake. Everyone got to tell her how much she meant to them and all the things that they've learned from her. And it was really sweet. And so that could be one. Sometimes we have living wakes unbeknownst to anyone, including ourselves. We just have this party that we're the subject of, and people come and they give you all the flowers, and then that person passes, and it was just like, oh, I'm so grateful that we got to do this thing before they left. Excuse me. So yeah, you can do it whenever you want, honestly. I don't think there are rules. Like you don't have to be at death's door to plan a living wake. I feel like you can get your flowers whenever you want to get your flowers. And I think it also depends on your community. I had a client and she desperately wanted a living wake, but her family was not up for it. And that's because she had accepted that she was dying and her family had not, and they just kept saying, well, you never know, you never know, you never know. And I thought it was really sad that she didn't get the living wake that she wanted because the people around her weren't ready to accept her death. And see, this is one of the pitfalls of our current views on death in the West. We make it so taboo and such a thing to fear that even when we are facing it and it's there in our faces, we want to turn a blind eye to it and we want to have this false sense of hope. But y'all, you're gonna die, okay? In case you didn't know, you are going to die one day. We all are. Just like any person that has been born, any animal that has been born to this planet is going to die. Okay? There is no stopping it. Now, sometimes there is, right? Because y'all might be like, Kima, you a damn hypocrite. Because didn't you get chemo to keep yourself from dying? And did. And did. But I had my reasons, right? Um, I think that sometimes, if the prognosis is good, you can fight if you want to, but also you don't have to. We don't have to preserve life at all costs, because preserving life at all costs sometimes puts us in positions where the life isn't really worth living to us. Like if you're just living and suffering. So, so yeah, I the sound immigrant asks, how do you work with families who are resistant to accepting their loved one's death? So here's the thing. I've never been hired by a family that is resisting their loved one's death. I've always been hired by the loved one, the one that was dying. And they are my priority. So I don't really fool with their family like that when they are not on board, because my job, I am an advocate for the dying person, just like a birth doula is an advocate for the birthing person or the birthing woman. And so the birth doula is going to kick out whoever need to be kicked out. She's going to say, hey, no, she didn't want that. The birth doula is basically there to ensure that the woman having this baby, all of her needs, wants, and her plan is adhered to as much as medically possible. Same thing with a dying person. My job typically is to advocate and ensure that the dying person gets the death that they wanted, not what their family wanted. And so typically, to answer your question, I am just trying to encourage the dying person to stick to their guns. I am trying to give them the dignified death that they want, regardless of their family's input. And sometimes that can be ugly, right? But yeah, my job is for the dying person. They are the most important person in every situation, in this type of scenario. I don't, I'm not gonna say I don't care about the family, but it's not their death, right? You know how you don't let somebody take over your wedding because it's not their wedding. This isn't their death. So we are going to adhere to what the dying person wants. That was a great question. Thank you, Sound Immigrant. It is comforting. It is comforting. And sometimes we have to get out of our own way and get out of our own heads and really just look at the person. This is their last experience as this human being. Why would we make that complicated? And I know people may not even think about it like that sometimes. They're just thinking about what they want and their hurt and how this is affecting them. But this is somebody's last human experience. Why would you make it difficult? And why can't you put yourself on the back burner for 2 weeks or however long we have? You know? You guys have any other questions about, because this is kind of a legacy thing, right? This is kind of an extenuation from yesterday's conversation on well, no, the day before yesterday's conversation on legacy projects and ethical wills. Um, these living wakes and our last memorial is kind of legacy area, right? Because um, someone's memorial, like I told you guys about the company that films, I've seen someone have a living wake and then they had a film company or project record the living wake as the legacy project. So the family always had this living wake recorded. That was the thing that they had. We can get so creative. And I challenge people to tap into their creative, like nothing's off limits. I mean, short of human sacrifice, we're not going to hurt anybody, but nothing really is off limits. We can we can do whatever you want. We can try to fulfill your last wishes, whatever they may be. And so I encourage people to lean into this acceptance of death, because we can then give our loved ones like this one last satisfaction. All right, the Sound Immigrant says, what are your thoughts on the law on assisted deaths passing in New York? I think it's great. It's called MAID, Medical Aid in Dying, and we can go into some of these on another day because this is a big subject. It has a lot of big feelings and thoughts. Um, I love that this is passed because you don't ever want someone to suffer needlessly because the law says they have to stay breathing for however long, you know? And I think that I don't know exactly what the statute like around their law is, like what it looks like, because it's going to look different in every place. But I love that people now have the option. This is great for a lot of people that are suffering needlessly. Thank you so much for asking. You guys have any other questions? We're right at like 20 minutes. I know I got started like 5 minutes early today. I was excited to see y'all. Okay, this has been a good 5 days. This is day 5 of Ask a Death Doula, and you guys are coming with the questions and the engagement, and it's been really, really good. And I love that I'm able to have this conversation with people and spread this knowledge and this acceptance of death positivity. Tomorrow, I probably will go live in the morning, earlier in the day, like 8 or so. Just look out for that scheduling, and I will post that. But I'll go live on the weekends. It'll probably be a morning thing, and during the week, we're gonna stick to 4:30. I'm gonna continue to flip flop like I have been doing. But thank you guys for your time and your questions today. And I will catch you next time. Until the end, y'all. Ciao.